Testing. How you doing, D?
What's up, bro?
Man. And we're live. What's up, everyone? We have an extraordinary guest joining us here today, Mr. Dee Greene. Dee is the founder of Undeterred, a powerful community dedicated to helping individuals unlock their full potential and achieve their dreams. With multiple six-figure online coaching businesses under his belt, Dee has truly mastered the art of transforming mindsets and turning ambitious goals into concrete realities. Since 2021, he's been living the digital nomad lifestyle, traveling the world with his family while running his thriving online ventures. In this episode, we're going to dive deep into critical intersection of action and mindset. Dee will share his valuable insights on how to move past mental barriers that often hold us back and develop a strategic action plan to turn our biggest goals into achievable milestones. A quick intro and word from our sponsors. Finance for individuals and businesses began with a vision, a community where like-minded people could share their passions, experience, and knowledge for a brighter future. Our mission is to foster growth, development, and push everyone forward. We believe everyone has the potential to succeed, and we want to support that journey. Join our community of leaders, visionaries, as we learn, grow, and build a brighter future together. For those on other platforms, this originated as a Facebook group, and we plan on keeping it here. Join us at facebook.com/groups/finance for individuals and businesses. Again, that's facebook.com/groups/finance for individuals and businesses. Dee brings a refreshing blend of inspiration and practicality to the table. His wisdom extends far beyond theoretical mindset advice. He's lived it, applied the principles, and reaped the rewards of an extraordinary life. Whether your sights are set on building an empire, leveling up your career, or simply unlocking new levels of personal growth, get ready to receive game-changing insights. Dee's real-world mastery of mindset shifts and executable action plans is exactly what you need to propel your journey forward. This is an episode you don't want to miss. All right, let's bring Dee on. Dee, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you here. Before we dive into the nuts and bolts of action of mindset, give us a little bit about your background and your journey. Introduce yourself.
What's up, bro? Man, to keep it short and then we can expand. I'm originally from Indiana. My mom had me when she was 16, never met my dad before. And I think as I grew up, I was just like, man, there's got to be more to life than just going to work at a job that you hate, coming home, eating dinner, and going to sleep, repeating that 5 days a week, maybe having fun on Saturday, Sunday. For me, it's like going to church, listening to everyone talk about how God is amazing and you can do anything through Christ if you believe in him and miracles are possible. But then the next day they go to a job they hate, come home, eat, and I'm just like, yo, there's got to be more to that. So like 2016, I started having this vision of like, man, I want to have a life where I have my own business. I'm helping other people online. I wanted to have a business that wasn't just like for me. It was like helping other people. I was really inspired by like Ty Lopez. And then I was like, I want to be able to travel. And it was like one of the hardest things I had ever tried to do. It didn't happen overnight. That was 2016. 2021, we achieved that goal. Sold all of our stuff, moved to Mexico, and I've been traveling ever since. So that's like, I guess, the short of it.
Yeah, for sure. So you went to Mexico first. Where'd you go after Mexico?
Yeah, so 2020 was when I was like getting more serious about it. I'm like, I got to make this a realistic thing because if not, I'm gonna have to go back to getting a job. So I'm like, I need to set really like a deadline and be specific. So I was like, I want to have a business that makes 10K per month and allows me to travel one time every 3 months. That was my goal by February 2021. So because it was during the pandemic, Mexico was the only place that was open. So we're in Mexico, and then everyone kept saying, "Go to Colombia, go to Colombia." Like Medellin is awesome, but I'm like, all I could think about was like Pablo Escobar, the cartel, and all this stuff. So I'm not going there. But after hearing it from so many people, we are like, let's go try it. It was like me, my wife, and then one of our
Right.
friends actually with us. So we ended up going to Medellin and staying out there. We stayed in Colombia, I think, for 2 months or 3 months or something like that. I can't remember the exact date or the exact time, but I think it was like 2 or 3 months.
That's crazy. And Do you plan on going anywhere in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm in Albania. I've been here a little over a month. We were in Hungary before this, in Budapest, Hungary, for a year and a half actually. So I don't know how, actually I don't know how long I'll stay out here. It's kind of just going with the flow, but I definitely have a lot of other countries like on my list that I want to, visit over there in my life.
What time is what time is it out there right now?
It's 6:16 p.m.
Oh, that's not bad. That's
Yeah, it's
not
like
a
6 hours ahead of
huge time
GMT.
difference.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's kind of so Hawaii is 6 hours the other way in Texas time. So so you guys are on the opposite side of Hawaii, I'm guessing. That's cool.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
um, so with kind of building your business as you're moving from place to place and kind of running that, how are you staying so organized and continuing to grow your businesses? I understand digital nomad a little bit more than a handful of other people. Do you mind going into a little detail there?
Be a little bit more specific. What do you like? Organized in which way? And first,
So,
I guess the question would be, am I organized? So,
well, I'm sure you're more organized than you would think, but kind of keeping everything together in probably a cloud-based platform, keeping everything digital, because people are so used to having pad and paper and doing all
yeah.
that stuff, and it's just being a digital nomad is a complete shift for a handful of people.
I mean, I think for me, it's two things. Like before I was a digital nomad, well, I went to, I have a degree from Indiana University with computer science informatics. So like, even when I was in college, I remember it was like very important. They were like, you don't just want to have all of your files like all over the place. It's going to be very hard when you're taking like 6 or 7 classes and you just have, all of your papers in like on your desktop, like a lot of people would do. So they're like, you want to have like, 2010, and then inside of that, you want to have like whatever like semester it was. And inside of that, you want to have like the class. And inside of that, like homework, all this stuff. Like, so I learned about like the file structure. So as I started working for other companies and I had like a social media agency, I was like, I would go to work with clients and they would just have like their logo, like all their stuff in just like one file. And it was like impossible to find anything. So I was like, man, I got to make sure everything is like organized. And then somebody was like, I forget, I think I got my computer stolen. I can't remember what made me do this, but uh, I had lost a lot of information. And someone was like, yo, you need to store everything on like Google, like Drive, bro. Like, don't just store everything on your computer. If it gets stolen or if something happens, it's done. So before we even became digital nomads, I was doing that. Then when we had the idea of being digital nomads, I started getting more into like minimalism. So I was like, I don't want to be carrying around a lot of stuff. I want to be like more free and just enjoying my time. So I'm like, the more stuff I have to carry around, like if I always have to have a pen, paper, like all this stuff, like it makes it even harder. So I've just been like, had a really good system. That part is super, super organized, probably like better than most people in the world I've met. Just because I like to be able to get to it really easily. And I don't like carrying around like a lot of stuff.
Yep, labeling everything.
Yeah.
Um, to, what Tell us about the businesses that you had run in the past. All of your coaching businesses, your coaching experience. Kind of give them an idea of where your mindset comes from.
It's so funny, man. Like right now we have our membership is called Undeterred. And the purpose of this is to help like Christians that feel unfulfilled with their career to chase their dream until they achieve it, their entrepreneurial dream. And I was having dinner with this guy here in Albania yesterday, and he was just telling me how he's getting into writing. So he's like using Twitter or X. And I was like, man, I've been on like threads. And he was like, bro, like Twitter has like so many more people. Like you should be using that too. So I was like, all right, let me get back on there. And I was going through my DMs that I hadn't read like in years. And I messaged someone in 2020. Like I had tried to do what I was doing now in 2019 or 2020, but I had like no idea what I was doing. I was like, hey, I'm trying to help people like gain the confidence, like chase their dreams. It's going to be called like the Undeterred Success Network. And like I just didn't know how to do anything online. So it didn't go anywhere. And then I was reminded, like, people kept telling me, like, yo, this is what you're called to do. Like, you need to start, like, you're always giving good information. Like, just have something that you can actually help people. So we started this in November of last year. But in between those times, in 2016, I had like a social media marketing agency. That was like my main thing. I was helping like local businesses in Orlando with their social media. And then when I had an online business, I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. So instead of me having to go into their business, I will teach them and then I can travel and help them. But as I started sharing tips, a lot of pastors were like, hey, we need help with our social media. And then COVID hit, and they're like, we definitely need help with our social media because we can't get anyone in. Um, and so we had a coaching program to where churches would sign up and we would train their staff on how to like run the social media. And like you said, I was like super organized with everything. So I'm like, right now, you guys have like all your content like all over the place. Like, let me show you guys how to organize everything, train this person, do the SOPs. And then we started, what I found was like, because these people were mainly volunteers, like they didn't care about the social media as much as like the pastor. Just like if me and you have someone that's running our content, right? If they're a volunteer, they have all these excuses of like, man, I'm busy, I have kids, I have this, and you can't really yell at them or get on them because you're not paying them. So I was like, man, we really need to teach the pastors how to use social media. That way, even if their people aren't doing anything, they can still grow, they can build a personal brand. So that's what we started doing. And then from us growing that, a lot of coaches started asking how I was building my business with video content. So we started teaching them how to create YouTube videos to attract clients without needing a bunch of fancy equipment or lighting or any of this type of stuff. And I think like my mindset along the way was just like, I saw so many people around me making up excuses of like why they couldn't achieve their dreams. And I was like, either you can be right and not achieve your dreams, or you can suck it up and achieve them. And what I mean by that is like people are like, the reason why I'm not achieving my dream is my dad beat me when I was young, or the reason why is like I'm black, or the reason why, and I'm like, okay, I'm not saying your reason is wrong, but now you're just getting sympathy, you're getting like pity, but you're not getting ahead. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to figure out how to actually achieve my dream. I don't want to like be for the rest of my life talking about why I'm not, even though that might be a valid reason. So I was just like, I got to do whatever it takes to like figure this out. And 2018 was when I learned like I wanted to propose to my wife in Paris. And I was like, I've never fully committed to doing anything in my life. I've always been like, this is what I want to do. It'd be nice. But if it gets hard, like I'm just going to do something else. And then that time I was like, I'm going to set a date and I'm going to commit to it. Like, no matter what, like, no matter what happens, like I'm going all the way. And I got an eviction letter, I almost got kicked out, but I ended up being able to go. And that showed me like, bro, if you fully commit to achieving like your dream, like you can do it. So whenever I was building my business, I just had that same mindset. Like it's just like a memory now where I'm like, yo, I've like all the other times that I just stuck it out, like I've always achieved what I'm trying to do. So I just have to keep doing that.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely a crazy story coming from an an eviction letter and having to deal with financial troubles whenever you have a family and you're trying to build a family and you're trying to build an empire. Um, Luckily, I haven't gone through that yet. Cross my fingers, knock on wood, keep fighting so that doesn't happen. Because that teaches you so much. It teaches you the value of time much quicker than a lot of other things would.
Yeah.
Um, with your time management, um, I know that you kind of have a pretty strict schedule because you're a family man. Um, where kind of in the beginning did you find yourself having more trouble with your time management? Um, was it was it really more trying to give it to your family or more trying to give it to your business?
I think for me, like, and I always try to be real honest with my wife, even. I think that's what makes our relationship good is I'm like, for me personally, and I was like, even for guys, I feel like for men, our dream is like our thing. Like, that's what we want to do. Like, I feel like a lot of us, it would be like, I would rather be just solo by myself, but chasing a dream than to give up on my dream and just have like 5 kids. But I was like, for women, like you guys really love like nurturing kids and like being there for someone and like you're loving, that's what you're built for. So I was just like, this is like really my passion. Like I would just spend like all day doing it. And I realized like it's like when you already have a family and if you achieve your dreams but they're gone, it's like you missed all that time. So there's a lot of I think time that it's valuable to spend with other people because like you don't want to just put off your dreams. Like there's sacrifices you have to make. But I think also like I think what I learned, actually, what I think I learned is like when you restrict your time, it forces you to be better, to make better use of it. But when you just are like, I'm just working, 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 then you just take all the time in the world. But if you're like, hey, these are the hours that I'm working, like you don't have a lot of time to mess around. So I would just realize like every day I want to be able to do something with my family, whether that's watch a movie or go out to lunch or whatever it is. And then over the past couple of months, I realized like I used to like hopping on like Zoom calls with people and I was just like, oh, let's connect, let's do this. And now I'm like, I don't really like doing that because it's like you start like having a filled calendar and like you are out wanting to do something like crap, I gotta like go home. And like whenever I'm in all these different countries, sometimes I gotta find a place that has Wi-Fi. I gotta hope that my Wi-Fi works. I gotta hope that like all this stuff. So I think I've just become more I guess like cautious or more valuable like with my time like over the years just as I like going through this lifestyle.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see the transformation from being static and then becoming a digital nomad and having to find even more balance and more time management. Um, yeah, I haven't done it, so I can't really give experience or knowledge. I just imagine it being very complicated, but you have to be very cohesive with your partner whenever you're doing something like that. I have another friend. He doesn't have any kids, but I used to work with him in my teens, and he's been traveling for like I think 10 years or something like that, like through New Zealand, like in a van and stuff like that with his wife. They're just living their dream. So it's cool to see. Um, it's cool to see for sure. But so deterred. You started deterred this past year,
Undeterred.
November. Undeterred. Sorry, undeterred. You started it this past year. I was trying to think of the date. Whenever it was November, right?
So it's funny. 2019, I think I went to Texas Roadhouse. So anyone that's from America will know what I'm talking about. But if not, they're gonna be like, "What's that?" But Texas Roadhouse. Me and my wife went there, and I was like, "Man, I want to create a clothing line that inspires people to like chase their dreams and just go for their goals." And I remember I took like a pad of paper and I was like, "While we eat, I'm just gonna try to come up with some ideas." And I was like looking at all like we were looking at the thesaurus, and I was like, oh, undeterred, like what is that? And it was like to persevere despite setbacks. And I'm like, oh, I love that because that's like basically what I'm all about. It's like you have all these excuses, but just do it anyways. So I started the brand Undeterred as a clothing line in 2019, and I was actually selling merch. I had like a Shopify store, like all this stuff. And then I was like, I'm going to create a membership that's like $5 a month, and we'll just all come together, people that are trying to like have success in life, and we'll help each other. And then I was just like, I didn't really know what I was doing like in the online space. I didn't know how to like attach a webinar to it, how to sell it, how to get clients, how to like I had like no system like at all. So then I just ended up kind of like transitioning into something else, but I never changed the name of my company. So since 2019, it's always been Undeterred LLC. And then last year, when people were like, "Man, you should really like even on YouTube, they're like, you're always like, yo, if you're afraid of how you look or how you sound or whatever it is, like just do it anyways." Like this is really good information, like not just for YouTube, but everything on a broader scale. And I was just thinking, if I was famous for one thing, what would I want it to be? And I was like, it's not YouTube. Like I don't care about it that much. But to help people chase their dreams, like I love doing that. I love having conversations and hearing people tell me, what they want to achieve and just helping them push through any setbacks. So then I was like, that's funny because we still have the same name. So we just were like, let's just keep the name that we had originally came up with in 2019 to do this very idea. And now that we have 3 years of experience of doing stuff online, let's put that knowledge to this. So that's how it came about.
That's awesome. The people that are in the group, what do they kind of consist of? What are the demographics that you're really targeting to bring? Because I know you could just say business owners and stuff like that, but is there an industry? Is there a mindset? Um, is there something specific you're looking for?
Yeah, so it's typically Christians that are unfulfilled with their career. So most of the people in there are like their background, like they're believers, they believe in God, and they have a career that they're doing that they are just not fulfilled in. They're just like, I know that I have a bigger purpose in life. I know I have a bigger calling, but I've been afraid to chase that dream. I've just been kind of stuck in this cycle. And they're like, I've seen you over the years or however long, like, bro, you're like doing stuff that other people aren't doing, despite all the like, most of the time when I meet people, they're like, oh, yeah, like, I would love, like, they know that I'm traveling and they're like, yeah, well, it's harder to do when you're married. And then I'm like, yeah, but I'm married though. And they're like, oh yeah, but like, it'll be harder to do once you have kids. And I'm like, yeah, well, we have a kid. You know what I mean? So it's like they see like the things that I'm doing. And so what we're helping them do is go from just living this life that's unfulfilled to taking the dreams that they've only had in their head and chasing it until they actually achieve it and not letting fear or doubt hold them back. So those are like the typical type of people we have in there.
Can you give a couple examples from the group where
Yeah.
an individual joined, did something they didn't even think about? Now they're doing something completely different, or
Yeah, man, there's this guy Ryan that's just a beast that's in there. He so his story is he was born with a cleft lip, cleft palate. I forget, it's like when your like lip doesn't fully develop, like when you're born.
yep.
And he said that he got bullied a lot when he was like a kid, and he was like, it was just a rough life. And I forget how old he was, but he tried to like commit suicide. And he was like, I just was not fulfilled with my life. I had a job that I was making money, but it was like I was like always depressed. And I knew like God was calling me to do something bigger, but I just didn't have the courage to do it. And he joined. And when he joined, he was like, man, I always wanted to be like a professional speaker, but obviously, like with the condition and people making fun of him, he like just never did it. So within 1 or 2 weeks, like he was already out speaking, like getting gigs, like speaking in front of people, getting opportunities, like out in public, like actually claiming it on his social media. This is what I want to do, speaking in front of people. Um, and it's cool to see like the confidence that he has now and like what he's doing. And it's just like, he's like, dude, I would have never like actually taken that leap of faith other than that. We have another lady that just joined. It was interesting because she was like kind of on the fence of joining because she was like, I have a job and it's pretty good pay, but I have another business that I want to do. So she was like, we have like two options. You can pay for the year, you can pay for the month. So she's like, I'm going to do like 1 month and see how it goes. And it was like after I think a week of her joining, like she ended up leaving like her other job. Like something happened to where she doesn't have like the job anymore. So now she's like, I'm so glad that I have this because like what would I have done in that other situation? So it's cool to see like now she's going for it. So most of the people are like that, man. It's like they're smart, talented people. They have a calling, they have a purpose, but they've just been really afraid or doubtful to like really go for it. And we're just helping them take those steps like towards it and providing them with support until they achieve
Right. Yeah.
it.
Coming across people with great ideas from the corporate world is very, very common. That's kind of where I came from. I was in the corporate world for probably about 10 years, but there's a lot of people who are just extremely motivated, but they're stuck in the corporate world. They don't know the first couple steps to kind of get out. So it's uh it's always interesting to find those people when all you got to do is kind of guide them a little bit and then they take off like a rocket.
Yeah. I think like
For sure.
one thing that I think helped me and one thing that I teach that I think a lot of people get stuck because they're worried about how. And I learned that like you can't worry about how, you just got to worry about like what. Like what is it that you want to do and then just figure out how to do it. Like you're not going to know how today. Like if you're like, man, I really want to be like have my own online business that makes 6 figures a year and to be able to travel the world. People go, but I don't know how to do that. So then they're just going to work every day, coming home, going to work every day, coming home. It's like bro, you're not even trying. Like, go watch a YouTube video, listen to a podcast. Like, you're not going to learn everything today, but learn a little something. And then, like, every day you learn a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And so I think,
1% every day.
yeah, when you just have that mindset of like, what do I need to do, not how, and then you figure out the how later, like you give yourself an opportunity. But a lot of people just and they don't even get that far. They just assume that it's going to be so hard. I remember before I started traveling, I thought it was so expensive. I'm like, oh, to go to Europe is like $10,000 for like a plane ticket. Like I didn't ever even looked because I thought that's how much it was going to be. And then when I finally looked, I'm like, yo, this is like $300, like $200, like a one way. But it's like most people don't even do the research because they're just so worried about like, how am I ever going to do this? So I think if you just are like, what do I want to do? Commit to it. Think of like what you would need to do without getting emotional. And then every day you just try to figure out like, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? Like eventually you get there.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely turns into a giant puzzle that you end up kind of piecing together.
Right, right.
It's, everyone's journey is really very, very different. That's why, that's one reason why I started this podcast, was to bring all these different ideas and things that I hear and things that I see, a little bit more public visibility, just because I think it's super interesting. I think it's super valuable. I mean, I'm I'm sure there's a whole lot more, but with Undeterred, where do you see yourself taking Undeterred in about 5 years
That's
or
a
10
great
years?
that's a great question. 10 years, I typically don't really think that far. 1 to 2 to 5, kind of like my max. But like it really
Yeah,
opened up my eyes when so Hungary changed the visa laws. That's why we left. Because they were like, you can kind of only get a visa per person. So before it was like the family. So I could be like, hey, I'm a digital nomad. They're like, cool, here's a visa. Obviously, your family's going to stay with you. So here they go. And then now they're kind of like, your daughter is not a digital nomad. So she needs to go to school there. And she's like, I'm not going to go to school like at a Hungarian school when I'm homeschooled. Like, doesn't make sense. So, anyways, we were in between two places, Bosnia and Albania. We ended up knowing some people that lived in Albania. So they were like, hey, just come here. You could even stay with us for however long and then go somewhere else. So they ended up giving us like an apartment that we could stay at. And one day they took us to dinner and then they were asking, like, what do we do? I was telling them about Undeterred. And they're like, the area that you guys are staying in has a lot of Roma, Gypsy people. And they're like, a lot of people have given up on them. Like, no one helps them with anything. The teachers don't believe in them. No one ever talks to them about their dreams. Would you be open to? They asked me to actually like preach at church, and I was like, sure. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always about like just going for it. But then I was like, yo, I think it'd be better instead of just like preaching, because that's not really something I do. I was like, to do like a workshop to where it's like hands on and we can like really help them. So when we
right.
did that workshop, it was so cool to see like these kids like actually verbalizing their dreams, saying what they want to do, coming up with an action plan. And I feel like God opened my eyes up to before I just wanted to like do what a lot of people say, like it's about me. Like I want to have a business that makes 10K per month so I can da 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 da. And then it's not that you're not making an impact, but you have a business that makes you money. And now I think instead of me having a business that makes me money, I need to have an organization that makes a difference in the world. And it serves a specific purpose. And I think that purpose is helping people chase their dream until they achieve it without letting anything hold them back. And there's a lot of people around the world that don't have the financial resources. They don't speak English. They have all these things that it is a real setback that they could achieve their dream despite those setbacks, but they need the information on how to do it. And I can't be everywhere in one place. So I think in 5 years, people would see Undeterred as a symbol for like hope of like, man, I have something I can believe in. We have people in different countries that are doing these workshops, teaching the frameworks to different people. Those kids are then turning into the LeBron James or the Elon Musk or whoever, right? That we would have never heard of. But then we have the paid side where it's like, these are the people that are paying to be closer with us. And then we'll have different tiers. So you have the free stuff. We're helping in these different communities. I'll have like podcasts, online stuff. But then we'll have our different memberships of um like way to get help. But then I've also had like this vision of, because I learned how to be undeterred on that trip when I went to Paris. I've had a vision of having an actual in-person like store or something for Undeterred in Paris. I just feel like that would be like the dopest thing to like be like, yo, I remember when I wanted to come here and it was impossible, and now we have like an actual like location. Um,
Storefront. Yeah.
yeah, I used to think I wanted it to be like like a clothing line. Like you could go there and you could buy like Undeterred hoodies and everything, and it'd be like a Louis Vuitton or something. But then somebody was like, man, it'd be cool if it was more like a co-working space. And inside of this space is where people come and they get support like while they're chasing their dreams, and they can connect with other people, and maybe there's tools and resources. I don't know what that looks like, but that's kind of like my vision. It's like we're in different countries helping people. We're also helping other people paid like closely, like with their dreams. And then some type of in-person thing. I don't know what that looks like, but that's kind of the vision.
What you could do is travel the world, and every month you go to a different location and hold a little expo.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. That's actually really what I want to do for real. I think that'd be so dope.
There's a handful of events and organization planners and stuff like that that I've come across recently. Like one of the bigger ones around the United States is the Small Business Expo. It's the SBE Expo, and all they do is just organize events. And they have one in Dallas every year, but it's all around the U.S. and they'll kind of circulate between all the states, so they touch every single one of them. Whenever they have an event, they have speakers, booths, all the normal stuff at a full-fledged concert, or not concert. But there's over 1,000 people there and everything. But yeah, no, I could see you doing something like that, but not doing it just in the United States, doing it from country to country.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, doing that from country to country would be pretty wild, especially having like the themed whenever you're there in that country. It's more for that country, obviously,
Let's
for
say
that country, that culture.
instead of would be cool, let's say will be cool because I'll do it.
Yeah, that's true. That
And you
will
can
be
say,
cool.
remember when I told you to do that? I'll be like, yo,
Yeah,
I'll send you a
yeah,
plane ticket, bro. Come out. We doing this thing out here.
yeah, for sure. That will be wild. That will be
Yeah,
wild.
yeah.
That's cool, man. With your what does your wife do for work right now? Does she help with the business, or
Man,
does
she
she
does
have a
everything.
job, or
She does
yeah?
everything. So she does like with us, she does like right now she's doing a call for like our members. So I saw like that she was like going live in there. She does a lot of like the customer support. So she's good at like really just like once people get in there, talking to them, making sure they are like she does like kind of like the accountability customer support. Also, she does have a job. She helps one of our friends that has a insurance business with some of the stuff that she used to like from helping me in my business. She helps her with like the leads and like the organization and stuff. And then she homeschools our daughter. So those are like her like main three things.
That's cool. So every day is different for her as well.
Yeah, every day, every hour of every day is different.
Yeah. Being able to adapt is pretty big, and especially whenever you're living in a different country.
Bro, yeah, it's pretty it gets pretty wild, honestly.
Yeah, I think like all the problems you're going through, and then like compound it with living in another country, sometimes different languages, sometimes just different different everything.
This is what I will say. I'll say two things though. All of the problems that I faced while traveling, like it gets to be a lot. There's a lot of it's not easy to do. But traveling and facing setbacks to me is like 100 million times better than when I was working like at these jobs, like feeling unfulfilled like every day, bro. Like I have to remind myself of that. I'm like, there were days where I remember like months, like maybe a year or two, like I was watching like travel vlogs like every day. Like, how the heck do people make enough money online to just travel like and go wherever they want? Like, I don't even know how to make like get someone to pay me $100 like a stranger. So to be able to be doing this, I just have to remind myself, like, bro, this was like a dream that I had, and I would have done anything to be able to be over here, not find a place to live, or not be able to talk to someone. But then also, and I think I saw someone even in the comments, like they're in India. Is like I also know that like there's a lot of people in these different countries that are living. They don't have a really good like quality of life. And so I think whenever we can take a shower, whenever we have hot water, whenever we can be full and eat a good meal, like it's a good day. So I just try not to let a lot of that stuff stress me out. It's like, man, we have a there are challenges and setbacks, but there is like we live like a really blessed life, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Going through that and those problems, I'm sure it's a whole lot more fun when you have your family with you and you're kind of just going through the problems together, but you guys are traveling at the same time. It's not a vacation, it's more of a lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing people don't understand. They think we're just like out here sightseeing and going to all of the touristic places. I'm like, bro, only thing we're doing is changing the location. We still have to work. We have a lot of stuff we got to do. Like a lot of the times I don't even see the touristic like places. I'm just like, we're just changing location and I'm on my laptop working. I'm doing the same stuff. So it's not just like a vacation. And it's funny when I talk to people, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, we need to catch up," and I'm like, "I'm in Albania," and they're like, "Oh, whenever you like come back home, let's like get together." I'm like, "Bro, I haven't like I've been traveling since 2021. This is not just like a hey, I'm on a quick vacation. Like you said, it is like a lifestyle that we have now."
That that person hasn't stopped commenting yet. Well, I guess that's technically engagement.
Is that oh, it's the same comment again and
What are you?
again.
Yeah,
Comment the
you're just get
comment it. Like you're commenting the same thing. Comment the income, and tell let me tell you in online income. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah,
go
no,
ahead.
it's just spam. Yeah. Um, that's why I was like, I guess it's technically engagement, but I mean, you'll just get banned after this anyway. But man, so with your community, are you targeting anyone specific to join now that you have started developing kind of the demographics and the foundation to the group?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, like this is the mistake I felt. I don't know if I'll say mistake, but what I realized that we were doing wrong before is I was targeting entrepreneurs. Let's say like someone like yourself, right? Like you're already doing something. And then I'm like, man, I know how to be undeterred, which is like to just keep going until you achieve the thing. So those people pretty much feel like they already are on this path. They just have a little bit left to go. They feel like giving up, but they feel like they can get motivation for free. They can get prayer for free. And if they need help getting to the finish line, they can just go pay a coach on the specifics. So what I realize is the people that probably need our help the most are the people that haven't even got started. Like the people that I talk to on a daily basis while I'm traveling, like everyone that's like, I really wish I could do what you're doing. We're at a coffee shop or they work somewhere and I'm like, why aren't you doing it? And they give me like 10 million excuses, right? It's like, man, I'm working at this coffee shop and I really wish that I could, have my own clothing line, or I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. And those people, like whenever I can sit with them and even get them started, like it changes their whole life, right? They went from they're just going to be stuck in the matrix, like basically like the rest of their life, to like now they're actually finding joy and purpose like every day. So those are the people that I'm targeting now. It's like they're just tired of like I just say going to work at a place you hate, coming home, eating dinner, going to sleep, doing that 5 days a week, enjoying Saturday, taking a rest on Sunday and repeating. Like I was just like, I don't want to do this for like 30 years, bro. Like I'm not doing that. I'm not getting 60 and be like, okay, now I can travel. I just didn't want to do that. So those are the people that we're targeting.
Yeah. It's I'm sure there's more than you would think, but how many of those do you think would take action? Like of all the people that say they want something, like how do you identify those who are going to make it or going to go through it and willing to go through it compared to those who aren't?
I think I realized I have to.
Obviously, it's more in action and not just words, obviously, but like how would you identify it?
Yeah, I think I realized I have to do two things. One, I have to make what we're doing cost enough to where it doesn't matter if everybody doesn't take action. And I think a lot of the times when we have like a good heart and we want to help people, it's like, man, they're not getting, not everyone's going to take action. They can't afford it. So I got to make it cheap. Like at first we were selling this for like 47. And I'm like, man, all the energy that we're doing, people don't even take it serious. Like they don't go in there and not everyone take action. So I'm like, and now I'm like, I'm killing myself to help all these people. So I think on one end, we have to charge enough to where it's like, like we don't need a ton of yeses for us to make an impact and to live. But then on the other end, I need to be creating enough content to eventually get those people to take action. That's free. So emails, YouTube, podcasts, all those types of stuff, because they might not say yes today, but eventually they will. I truly
Right.
think that if somebody is passionate, like they have a dream that they really want to achieve, and I'm around them like long enough, and they're like, I don't know. I truly believe like anybody can do it. Like there's not really a lot of, it's only the people that aren't willing to do anything. Like they just, information goes in and then they just sit there. But if you're willing to take a risk with me, like I can get you there, like for real. Like there's been so many people like from any country that I've been in where it's like they're doing totally different things like now. But it's like you just have to be, it's kind of like if you are an instructor for getting people to jump out of an airplane, it's like if they're willing to like let you push them or you can just push them, like you know that you're gonna like 99% get them to the ground. But they have to just be willing to like let you strap onto their back. You know what I mean? So if they're
Right.
willing to do that, I feel like we can get there.
Yeah. Um, Creating that partnership and that unity is always tough, and making sure the chemistry is there is good as well, because everyone works kind of differently. Um, have you ever kicked someone from your community?
Nah, not this one is like more new, so I don't think so. But in the past, like I think we have for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the little community that I have, I ban people all the time. But obviously for different stuff, just mainly group criteria, but
I
sometimes like
think
this
like
stuff.
the
But
thing that the thing that's different, I think, about what I'm doing than other stuff is like what I'm talking about. And
mhm,
just like the vibe. So like let's say like this Arjun guy. I don't know if he left already, but it's just like if you're watching my type of content, you already know like that's not the type of vibe that I'm on. Like we're more about like personal relationships, getting to know each other. You know that we will actually help you. Like you don't need to spam the comments, like reach out to someone personally. It's like I'm mainly talking about those things. Whereas like whenever I'm just talking about like content, or if I was talking about making money, like they aren't hearing those things from me. And so like they have the behavioral issues. But like that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Like, yo, if you want to achieve your dreams, this is the mindset we got to have. So already, I think a lot of people have that mindset like coming in. If that makes more sense.
yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely does. Having just being more open-minded with partnerships and trying to be as creative as possible with it is pretty important. Um, Trying to mesh and kind of bring people together is always hard, but you really have to identify their strengths and weaknesses and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, with the community, I know you talked about it in 5 or 10 years. What about in the next year? What are some of your bigger projects that you're working on with Undeterred?
Yeah, man. My goal right now, my dream is to build an online community that makes $20,000 a month by December 2024. So this year. So that's like my goal. Because before we had hit 10K, that's a good. It is a good amount, and you can do pretty much anything you want in most countries with that. But it doesn't give you like a ton of flexibility. I mean, you're paying yourself, let's say 50%. And if you have three people in your family, that would be the equivalent of me and my wife both making 2,500 each, which would just be like a regular salary in the US. And so that gives us the kind of like flexibility and freedom to do more things in these countries, to travel more often, to travel more comfortably. But also our goal in the future is to have like multiple homes in different countries. That way we're not just, we can travel, but we don't have to pick up all of our stuff and then go to the next place. So by the end of this year, our goal is to be at 20K. Right now, we're only right now at like 1,000, honestly, like in between 1,000 and 1,500 has been like where it's been at. Um,
Hmm. With man, with all the houses, that's where you do your events in the future, right? All your
probably,
houses in the different countries,
probably, I
you could
would
do
probably,
your
probably.
events close to there.
I don't know. I feel like it depends on what the houses look like, but I think what I can see us doing is like renting a Airbnb or something cool. But I think if it would be more of like an intimate group. I'm not really like that. I don't really like having like a ton of people in my space all the time like that. But if I have like
Right.
a hotel, or if we have like an Airbnb that we're renting specifically for that, I think that would be cool for, like 5 to 10 people, depending on the space. But it would just be really cool to have like to have a home that we're building like on our own, like we're putting our personal touch on it. We know that we have a place to stay. We don't have to keep moving around. So I think that would give myself, but more so my wife, like a lot of peace of mind, like on that.
Yeah. Um, Man, that's definitely been a fun journey that you and your wife have been on. How long have you guys been together?
Oh man, that is a great. So we got married in 2018. So is that 5 years married? Coming up 6.
How how soon did you know that you guys were gonna have a partnership like
Mm.
in business? Because that
Oh,
doesn't happen overnight.
that's a good question. It's funny because I just sent an email out today that was talking about like the first day that my wife worked with me for a full day in the office. Um, I think so. I think like the day that I knew was pretty much like how I feel with everyone else. Like we were together, and we were working valet at Disney, and I was like, I'm not working here the rest of my life. Like these people are like 40, 50. Like this is like they've been here for 10, 20 years. Like no shame to them if that's what they want to do, but I know that's not what they want to do because they always tell me this ain't what I want to do. I was like, I'm not being here for very long. So once I
Right.
left and I started doing my own thing, that was my next goal, was like, I got to get it to where like she's not doing that for the rest of her life. So I was like, well, either she could start her own business, which is possible, but if you just help me grow mine, then like we already have something. So she was open to the idea, and so she has just been kind of helping me ever since.
That's cool. That's cool. It's not easy, but sometimes whenever you find a way to make it works really, really well. And that's cool. It sounds like she's helping you out a bunch too. So
Yeah,
kind of helps keep everything in the family.
it's cool too. I think the reason why it works is like she's helpful, but she's not passionate about it. So, like, I think, and what I mean by that is like, if let's say like me and her opened up a coffee shop together, like I think there's a lot of friction because like you're both really passionate about it. So like I'm like, no, the walls need to be black, like this is the vibe, and it's like, no, they need to be pink. This is the drinks. Like you're always, I think, butting heads because you each have a separate vision. And
Right.
so I think that's what makes it hard, like with couples. But with this, she's just like, whatever your vision is, like, I'm just here to like support. So then it's like, I'm doing my thing here. She's doing her thing over there. It's not a lot of like, it's never friction at all. It's just like, I'm here to like support you and like what you're doing. So that's what I think makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Do you have any rules like can't go to bed angry or something like that to keep work and personal life kind of separated or something
Mm.
similar? Like you could no,
I think like
no.
I could probably count on like one hand of like the times we've like argued or like got upset with each other. It doesn't really happen. Like we're just both like super chill. Like super
That's cool.
relaxed. So it just doesn't it does it just never happens. So it's like we never really had to have that conversation. I think the only thing I try to do is like not talk about it so much because I could just talk about it all the time, like at dinner, like oh while we're sitting. So I know like sometimes she's just like, bro, like I don't want to hear about your funnels, but like that's what I try to do sometimes. Is like I don't want to always talk about it, but we don't have like any like specific rules or anything like that.
Good. Good. So it sounds like it meshes pretty well. You don't have to go and create walls or barriers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like the next thing that I want to do is like it's weird. It's like I realize like it's like getting her to a point where like she's fulfilled in like what she's doing, whether that's her own thing or like helping me. But I hate being the person that's like, I want you to help me. I want you to sacrifice your dream to help me with mine. I don't like being that person. So even if someone could help me, but I know they're supposed to do their own podcast or be a musician or whatever, it's like, yo, you should be going. I don't want to be the person that holds you back from doing that. So I know like she has a lot of gifts and potential too. So it's like either it's like how do we fit that into like what we're doing and it's a part of it and you're doing your own thing, or I got to get to the point where I can have someone doing what you're doing for me and then you can go do that thing. So that's kind of like where we're at now. But I think it's making sense to what both of us want to do to kind of have it together.
Right. What is she really good at that you're not?
That's a good question. She's really good at being empathetic, I guess, like with people. Like, bro, I get so sick of it. Like if if somebody wants to work with us and they're like, all right, man, I'm gonna make the payment today, like I promise I got you. And they don't like make the payment, and then I hit them up and they just ghost me. And then the next day I talk to them and then they make up some excuse. Like, I want to just like block their number, report their Instagram account, and like sue them. Like I just like hate when people don't have like high integrity. But she can really be super nice of just like, hey, how's your day? How's everything going? Like we heard this happen. Like she's really good at like at that side of it and just being like more understanding. She's also really good at for like our niche of just like praying for people and like being there for them emotionally. Like she's really good at that. For me, I'm just like, what are you crying for? Like, bro, like we got work to do. Like, I understand that it's hard, like, but like, okay, like, let's go. Like, like we're gonna pray, but we're not gonna be crying about it for all day. But she's really good at just like being with them emotionally, praying for them, being there for them. So it's like I'm really more about like what's the action we need to take. Let's be problem solvers. Let's get it done. And she's really good at being there for like people like emotionally. So it's
Yeah.
a good combo.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's not necessarily a good cut, bad cut, but it's a good like yin and yang. It's a good balance. It's a good balance for sure. Um, man, that's awesome. I do want you to plug where you are, email, website, all that stuff.
Yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere, just at D Greene. So that's D like ABCD, and then two E's, and then green like the color with E at the end. So DEEGREENE. And then two things that I'm doing right now is every day pretty much, or at least Monday through Friday. And this is like my favorite, it's like weird, but it's like my favorite thing to do is like I send out an email with like a story, motivation, or tip to like help people like chase their dream until they achieve it. So it's like every day is like something to help keep them going. So if people want to like get on there, you can go to like my Instagram and the link is in my bio. And then I also have like a PDF that I put together with like 7 keys to chasing your dreams, like 7 vital, important things that really help me. So I'm just really trying to put out free stuff. I mean, obviously, if people want to join the pay stuff, they can find that too. But Instagram, I would say, and then I'm about to be going really heavy on like YouTube right now too, like at least one video a week that I'm putting a lot of time and energy into.
What's your Instagram?
Everything is either at D Greene or at real D Greene. So it's just at D Greene on Instagram.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, that keeps it easy. Uniform. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, man, it's definitely good having you on. I definitely want to talk to you in the future. I want to see where Undeterred goes. I'm excited for you and the community that you've already started building and the direction that they're all going.
You got to come out to one of these countries, man. You got to take a visit.
Yeah, I've actually been talking to a couple people about getting out of town, and what I mean by out of town, I mean like getting out of the states. I have my passport. I planned a trip a while back to go on like a month trip all throughout Thailand, Phuket, and there's a bunch of stuff I was supposed to do that fell through, and I just been too busy. But I do plan on going in the future. I think that'd be super cool to go from country to country. Um, Fortunately, unfortunately, most of my clients are US based, and that's kind of where it sticks. So I don't necessarily have to travel, but I still want to travel. There's a lot of places I want to go, a lot of things I want to see. I always thought it'd be interesting. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's like up north, like New Zealand. You can swim between tectonic plates. I think that's pretty wild. I've always wanted to go to the South Pole and do a handstand. And
Bro, we
then
gotta we
so
gotta have you doing these things. I want to see pictures and videos of these things.
yeah. So whenever you have, and I got this idea from one of my teachers from like high school, but he took a picture of him by the South Pole, did a handstand. So he turned the picture upside down and it looks like he's holding the world up.
Oh, that's
It's
cool. That's
pretty,
cool.
yeah, it's pretty creative. But anyway, man, definitely good having you. We'll chat again soon for sure, for sure. But man, good having you on. Good having you on. Anything else you want to say before we chat?
Yeah, this is this thing I say every time someone asks me, is there anything else you want to add at the end of the podcast? I always say this, which is don't be the person that you just spent an hour of your life. Don't be the person that got all the way to the end. You're nodding your head like, yeah, this was great. And then you go back to your same life. Like the reason that you're listening to this stuff is to do something about it. So whether that's big, small, like go do something. And I think there's so many people that get addicted to just like, I need to learn more. Oh, I need to learn one more thing. I need to learn one more thing. And then they're just learning their whole life. It's like after you end this, go do something. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's even writing in your Apple Notes, like, hey, I need to go download this book, or you bookmark something, you save a YouTube video, or you message a friend, like go take some type of action. And I think if you do that every time you learn something, like you get farther along. But there's just so many people that they just listen to episodes and then they're just like, that can never work for me, or they come up with some excuse of why it's not going to work. And I think if you just do
Right.
something, like you just spent an hour, like make it worth it, you know?
For sure. Powerful last words. I like it. Good seeing you, man.
Good seeing you
Good
too,
seeing
bro.
you. We'll chat again soon. Thank you, everybody.